We've had another use of force incident by police officers down in Atlanta. Now, I'm going to play this first, and I'm going to get to a Washington Examiner article, and then I'm going to play some other video. Now, for our audio listeners, I'm going to talk through it. To our video viewers on youtube.com/Bongino, that's our video channel. If you'd like to check it out, it is, of course, free. You can just subscribe, and we'll notify you when the videos go live. Let's play this first. This is kind of silent, but this is some video taken from a Wendy's. It was an incident in Atlanta. A Wendy's calls 911 because a subject, Rashard Brooks, had fallen asleep behind the wheel of his car. Police officers confront him. He appears intoxicated. He then attacks the police officer, steals their taser, runs away. As you can see in this video, as he's running away, he points the taser he just stole from the police officers he assaulted, fires the taser at point blank range. The police officer then engages with his firearm, fires, I believe, twice. Mr. Rashard Brooks tragically died. I don't wish death on anyone for any reason, folks. Ladies and gentlemen, unfortunately, sometimes in these use of force scenarios, these things and these tragedies do happen. Now, as you can see from that video, yes, Rashard Brooks is running away. As you can also see from that video, if this is a big if in the media environment now, because again, media folks out there are committed to racial division and anti-police rhetoric. So if you're interested in the facts, as Mr. Brooks is running away, he turns towards the officer, turns to face him with the taser he just stole and fires it at him at point blank range. Again, if you're being intellectually honest, you'll mention that. If not, you'll just say, well, he was running away and was essentially a fleeing felon. Folks, before we get to the Washington Examiner article, the absurd response by the district attorney in the county there, in Atlanta, the county that oversees the Atlanta PD, the absurd response and what happened before, because what happened before matters too. You are not running away if you are turning to engage in a deadly force scenario to face that officer. Do you understand that? Again, I'm not talking to my listeners that are interested in facts. I'm talking to the liberal narrative machines out there interested in selling you an anti-cop narrative. Debate police use of force all day. We should do that. It's a fair and just society. We give police officers a lot of responsibility. With that responsibility is always going to come scrutiny, and most cops understand that. But being intellectually dishonest and suggesting this was a fleeing felon and leaving out the fact that he turned Mr. Brooks to engage this police officer in a potential serious physical injury or death scenario, a taser at point blank range to the police officer's face and firing it is unbelievably intellectually dishonest, and you're either doing disinformation or misinformation. You're not getting away with that here. Outrageously, in a decision I cannot believe will result in anything other than a catastrophe for the Atlanta Police Department and others. See this Washington Examiner story. The local district attorney, the mayor, fired the police officer right away. No due process for the police officer at all. Keep in mind, Wendy's called 911 to get the police there. The cops just didn't randomly show up there, the two police officers. Washington Examiner. Carlin Becker, story in the show notes today. District attorney weighing murder charge against Atlanta police officer who shot Rashard Brooks. What? Are you insane? A murder charge. Oh, it gets worse. Let's dig into this piece to show you how outrageous and absurd we've now gotten as a country. We're in a country now where a violent far-left group has taken over a portion of a major American city in Seattle. If you, God forbid, suggest that every life matters and all lives matters, you're considered a racist. By the way, a central tenet of the civil rights movement of the 60s, that all lives matter equally, is now making you the racist. Unbelievable. And we're now in a city where a police officer who engages a subject who just beat the snot out of two of them was alleged to be drunk, sleeping in a car in a drive-thru, blocking the drive-thru in response to a 911 call, and who turns the taser and fires it point blank at the police officer who just stole it from, is now being charged for murder. The world is upside down. And as I said on Friday in one of our most listened to shows ever, this fight is coming to your door right now. You better make a decision real quick. Are you on the side of law and order, justice and due process? Or are you on the side of the left and the mainstream liberal media on the side of chaos, racial division, and street justice? They burned the Wendy's down. The same Wendy's victimized by Mr. Brooks, who was sleeping in their drive-through lane in his vehicle, allegedly intoxicated, so they couldn't conduct any business, dares to call the police, dares, I'm using air quotes, and then was burned down their location afterwards by protesters, otherwise known by sane people as rioters. This is insane. This is insane. The question isn't any longer, ladies and gentlemen, is it insane? As I'll get to next with the Trump rallies versus the protests and riots. The question now is, what are you going to do about it? It's not, is this insane anymore? We already know that. From the Washington Examiner piece, this is outrageous. The District Attorney Howard explained that there are several charges being considered, including murder, felony murder, and involuntary manslaughter against a police officer. Is this real? Are we on planet Earth? He says, quote, there are 3 charges relevant. One would be a murder charge. That charge is a charge that's directly related to an intent to kill. An intent to kill? Is this guy psychopathological? The second charge is felony murder. That's a charge that involves a death that comes as a result of a commission of an underlying felony. What was the underlying felony? The police officer responding to a 911 call? The police officer taking a punch from this guy? In this case, that underlying felony would be aggravated assault. The cop was being assaulted by the bad guy. Do you understand this? This lunatic district attorney? He's suggesting the cop who was the subject of a felony assault by Mr. Brooks, who was punching him in the face and trying to take his weapons, that the cop, the underlying felony the cop committed, the police officer, is aggravated assault? I guess in psychopathological land, this makes just perfect sense.
You just heard the Dan Bongino Show. You can also get Dan's podcasts on iTunes or SoundCloud and follow Dan on Twitter 24/7 @DBongino.